Well, Judge Reinhold joins us by phone. We have a big event coming up Sunday evening at the Melba Theater in downtown Batesville at 6:30, a showing of the Santa Claus, which is a benefit for the Arkansas Sheriff's Youth Ranch. And as I said, Judge Reinhold joins us by phone right now, and you're going to be
Hi.
there for a Q&A session.
Oh, yes. We want to get it. We want to make it really clear with the Q&A that Santa actually approved the movie, that we had full technical support from the North Pole, and we actually used an elf. I remember his name was Ebenezer. He was about almost 800 years old, and he was our technical support, our advisor. So we got as much with the sleigh and everything as this is authentic as possible. So Santa approved everything about the movie. The kids sometimes get confused. Was that Santa Claus? No, that's a make-believe movie. Santa is real, and we had his full cooperation.
And that's not always easy to get. The North Pole has a lot of paperwork these days, correct?
It's true, but Disney Studios was more difficult. Santa did want a piece of the action. He wanted a little back-end participation. That wasn't possible, but we worked it out. Santa's legal team was fair. Disney was tough, but we brought it together.
The mouse and the big man in the same room together. That's got to be a classic event.
Yeah, had to keep it civil.
Now, Judge, tell me, the movie dates back to 1994, and seems like that's yesterday, but that's actually been some time ago.
Yeah, and we won the People's Choice Awards that year. It was really fun. I read the script and I thought it was I thought it was charming, but I didn't realize really what it had. I can't say it that time, but Tim Allen, it was they considered it a vanity project of his. He really, rightfully so. Tim he can really pick winners, and he saw the potential of it, but Disney didn't really. But they let him go ahead and make the movie because he had made so much money with Home Improvement for Disney ABC, and so but they didn't give us much to make it. And there's some the special effects were a little iffy. I'm just talking about the great family movie that the first one was. The reason why I do consider it a great example is that it had, just like some of these Pixar movies have, they have sophisticated humor as well as humor for younger people. And so if you have that together, that's a genuine family movie, and they're usually very successful. Not to go on, but this is pretty funny that, rightfully so, they cut this out. The original writers had a montage sequence not a montage, but a sequence in the beginning of the first script that told the story of different Santa Claus's fate. Like, one of them got shot as a home intruder. One of them got sucked into an airplane engine. It was very grisly.
Not exactly the most Disney-friendly storyline.
No. And they promptly took it out, but I was like, wow, that's bold.
You mentioned earlier they didn't really recognize the iconic factor of the film. You've been in several iconic films back during the 80s, a generation of movies that really defined that decade.
I'm very grateful for that.
Did you realize at the time the films that you were making and how they would hold up over the years, or does that come later?
Well, you're faced with a creative enterprise, and anybody who is not a little anxious probably isn't really good. So you always approach everything with a little trepidation, and it's a challenge, The only time I really ever felt that it was a slam dunk was the first time I read this movie, Ruthless People, which actually hasn't held up as well as the others, but that was that was gold on paper. The first Beverly Hills Cop, we had to work ourselves through as a comedy because it wasn't originally a comedy. It was a vehicle for Sylvester Stallone,
right.
And it was a story of vengeance, and so we had to write ourselves through that. So that was nerve-wracking, not for Eddie, but for me. I mean, Eddie was at the top of his game and just brought so much to it, just off the cuff. Made me jealous because he could just show up, not know what he was going to say, and be fine.
And it comes out, like you say, as gold.
Yeah. I mean, the funniest moments in that first one really came out of his.
One of my favorite moments that I saw is actually not on the movie screen. It's on the small screen when you played the close talker in the Seinfeld episode. And I think you actually had an Emmy nomination for that. And you've done some other projects with some of those folks as well.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, the irony of Emmy nomination was that it was like the easiest week of work I'd ever had. You worked so hard for a long time to, be recognized like that. I mean, that's not why you're doing it, but that was kind of crazy that it was so easy, and I got this great response for it.
Do you prefer to work primarily in movies or in television? Is there a difference to you?
It doesn't matter as long as the writing is good.
Gotcha.
I go after whatever's going to genuinely be entertaining. It doesn't matter the medium. I like the sitcoms because there's such a civilized schedule. It's a 9-to-5 job, and then on Friday you tape the show twice, and then you go home. That's really kind of the easiest schedule in the business. The hour-long series is the hardest. You just kind of don't ever stop. That's a grind. I've never really done that, but that's the hardest job. The sitcom is the easiest. But it's all about the writing. If something's really funny, I don't care.
Now, Sunday night, we'll show the Santa Claus on the big screen at the historic Melba Theater, and it's actually a benefit, as we mentioned, for the Arkansas Sheriff's Youth Ranch. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with that.
Well, the original story to the Arkansas Youth Ranch was so compelling to me. There were two sheriffs back in 1976. These two sheriffs felt so badly about having to remove these kids from abusive or neglectful homes, and they felt so bad about placing these kids in and didn't know what happened to them. Didn't know what would. You just lost touch with them, and so they took their own money. They rented a property. They were able to hire a couple professional child care providers, and they started the ranch, and it's grown from that. But that was the original. That was the conception of it. Was Arkansas sheriffs just wanted to take care of these kids and looked after these kids. There were 75 sheriffs signed the incorporation papers back in '76, and since then it's been home to thousands of kids. And it's one of the places that doesn't separate siblings. And the kids are there until 18, and even after, if they're working towards a degree or a vocation, they can stay till they're 21. It's a family, but they run on financial support. They run on donations, and so I'm really honored to be a part of it because it's the real deal. And the kids, when you visit, it's just undeniable that they're happy, that they, coming from some of the tragedy that they've come from, to be able to care for horses and manage the farm. It's just a win-win for everybody.
Certainly is. And you came in, I think it was a couple of years ago that we did this, and I know a lot of folks, it kind of almost came and went before they even knew it was happening. So this is a great time for kind of a part two, in case you missed it the first go-around.
Matt Cleveland and I don't know, it might have been 2 weeks before or something, and we're happy to have some advance time this time. And it was fun. We had a great time.
Well, that's great. We'll show the movie and the Q&A after. Is that how it's going to work?
Absolutely, and I can answer as many questions about my relationship with the actual Santa Claus as I'm allowed to.
As the security papers dictate, because there is still a lot of non-disclosure.
There's a non-disclosure. That's right.
Judge Reinhold joining us this afternoon. And Judge, thanks so much for taking some time and talking with us.
Oh, thank you, Chad. Pleasure.